Acoustic, relating to hearing. Amblyopia, lazy eye. Ankylosis, abnormal stiffening and immobility of joint. Anorexia, eating disorder categorized as abnormally low body weight. Anuria, abnormal urination. Apnea, breathing stoppage, especially when sleeping. Arthralgia, joint pain or stiffness. Arthritis, joint inflammation. Arthrocentesis, joint aspiration. Audiometric, hearing test measurement. Blepharodema, swelling of the eyelids. Blepharospasms, spasms of the eyelids. Bronchial hemorrhage, bleeding from a ruptured blood vessel into the bronchia. Bronchitis, inflammation of the bronchia. Bronchoscope, medical instrument for the lungs and windpipe. Bronchospasms, spasms of the bronchi. Bursitis, inflammation of bursae. Calcaneodynia, pain in the heel, heel spur. Carcinoma, cancer of tissue or lining of internal organs. Cephalgia, headache. Chemotherapy, treatment through chemicals. Cholecystectomy, surgical removal of gallbladder. Cholecystitis, inflammation of the gallbladder. Colonectomy, surgical procedure to remove all or part of colon. Cystalgia, pain in the bladder. Cystoplasty, surgical enlargement of the bladder. Dental, relating to teeth. Diarrhea, loose, watery bowel movements. Dyspepsia, indigestion. Dysphagia, difficulty swallowing. Dyspnea, difficult breathing. Edema, swelling caused by excess fluid in the body's tissues. Encephalitis, brain inflammation. Enteritis, inflammation of the small intestine. Esophagoscopy, examination of the esophagus. Eupnea, normal breathing. Femoral, relating to the femur. Gastrologist, medical specialist of the gastrointestinal tract. Gastroscope, medical instrument to examine GI tract. Gastrostomy, surgical opening into the stomach. Gynecologist, medical specialist of female reproductive organs. Hematemesis, vomiting of blood. Hematologist, medical specialist of blood. Hepatic, relating to the liver. Hyperemesis, severe or prolonged vomiting. Hysteralgia, pain in the uterus. Hysterectomy, surgical removal of uterus. Hysterotomy, surgical incision of the uterus. Intragastric, inside the stomach. Laparoscopic, small incision surgery. Larynx, voice box. Lithectomy, surgical removal of stone or calculus. Lumbosacral, the area related to the lumbar and sacral regions, connects the spine to the pelvis. Malignant, producing deterioration, abnormal cell division. Maxillodynia, pain in the upper jawbone. Myopathy, suture of a muscle. Myorrhexis, laceration or tearing of a muscle. Nephrolithotomy, a medical procedure to remove kidney stones. Nephrosclerosis, hardening of the kidneys. Nocturia, frequent night urination. Oliguria, production of small amounts of urine. Oophorectomy, surgical removal of one or both ovaries. Oophroma, tumor of ovary. Ophthalmalgia, pain in the eye. Ophthalmologist, eye medical specialist. Orchidodynia, testicular pain. Orthopedist, specialist in the field of the musculoskeletal system. Osteitis, bone inflammation. Osteoporosis, condition where the bones become brittle and fragile. Otodynia, pain in the ear. Otolaryngologist, ear and throat medical specialist. Otorrhea, discharge from the ear. Otoscope, medical instrument to examine the ear. Pancreatolith, a stone in the pancreatic ducts. Pancreatomegaly, an abnormally large pancreas. Patellar tendinitis, inflammation of the patellar tendon. Pharyngoplegia, paralysis of the muscles of the pharynx. Pharynx, windpipe. Phobia, fear. Photophobia, a discomfort to bright light. Ophthalmoscope, medical instrument to examine the eye. Pneumocentesis, removal of fluid from the lungs. Pneummonosis, abnormal condition of the lungs. Postpartum, after childbirth. Prostatectomy, surgical removal of prostate. Prostatic hyperplasia, non-cancerous prostate enlargement. Prostatomegaly, enlarged prostate. Pulmonologist, medical specialist of the lungs. Pyuria, pus in the urine. Renal, relating to kidneys. Retinitis, inflammation of the retina. Rhinitis, nose inflammation. Rhinoscope, medical instrument used to examine the nose. Salpingocele, tumor or swelling of the fallopian tubes. Salpingoplasty, surgical repair of the fallopian tube. Salpingoscope, medical instrument used to examine the fallopian tube. Scleritis, inflammation of the sclera. Sclerosis, hardening. Sigmoid stenosis, narrowing of the sigmoid segment of colon. Spermatogenesis, production of mature spermatozoa. Stenosis, narrowing. Sternal osteochondritis, inflammation of the bone and cartilage around the sternum. Sublingual, below the tongue. Thoracotomy, surgical incision of the thorax. Tinnitus, ringing in the ears. Tracheostomy, surgical opening of the trachea. Transurethral, passing through the urethra. Tympanitis, inflammation of the tympanic membrane. Tympanoplasty, surgical repair of the tympanic membrane. Urinary, relating to organs, structures, and ducts that produce urine. Urologist, a medical specialist of the urinary tract, bladder, and kidneys. Vertigo, the sensation that you or your environment is moving or spinning. Barium swallow, process of getting an X-ray of the esophagus or upper gastrointestinal tract. C-reactive protein pacemaker, an implanted device to regulate systemic inflammation. Thoracentesis, procedure to remove air or fluid from around the lungs. Acute respiratory distress, when fluid builds up in the alveoli of the lungs. Addison's disease, disorder of adrenal glands where your body does not produce enough of a certain hormone. Adhesive capsulitis, stiffness and pain in shoulder joint, frozen shoulder. Alzheimer's disease, a type of dementia that affects memory, behavior, and thinking. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, progressive nervous system disease, ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. Aneurysm, a bulge in a blood vessel caused by weakness in blood vessel wall. Angina, chest pain from lack of oxygen-rich blood. Ankylosing spondylitis, inflammation of the joints and ligaments of the spine. Acute cruciate ligament tear, a tear of the ligament that connects femur and tibia. Arrhythmia, irregular heartbeat. Ascites, a condition where fluid collects in your abdomen. Atelectasis, complete or partial collapse of the lung. Atrial fibrillation, irregular and often rapid heartbeat that can lead to blood clots in the heart. Cerebral palsy, a group of disorders affecting a person's ability to move and maintain posture and balance. Cerebral vascular accident, a stroke. Cholelithiasis, gallstones. Deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot that forms in a deep vein. Guillain-Barré syndrome, body's immune system attacks the nerves. Huntington's disease, disease that causes a progressive breakdown of nerve cells in the brain. Meniscal tear, a tear in the meniscus cartilage of the knee. Osteitis deformans, also known as Paget's disease, disrupts the replacement of old bone tissue with new bone tissue. Osteoarthritis, degenerative joint disease where the cartilage breaks down over time. Osteomalacia, softening of the bones. Osteomyelitis, inflammation in bone caused by infection. Osteoporosis, medical condition where the bones become brittle and fragile. Parkinson's disease, brain disorder that cause unintended or uncontrollable movements. Plantar fasciitis, inflammation of thick band of tissue that connects the heel bone to the toes. Rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune disease where your immune system attacks the tissue lining the joints. Scoliosis, sideways curvature of the spine. Spina bifida, neural tube defect where the spine and the spinal cord do not properly form. Thrombophlebitis, inflammation of a vein from blood clot. Centesis, surgical puncture. Plasty, surgical repair. Scopy, visual examination. Phagia, eating, swallowing. Phasia, speech. Malacia, softening. Necrosis, tissue death. Ossis, abnormal condition. Henia, deficiency. Oligo, deficiency. Brady, slow. Contra, against, opposite. Tetra, 4. Prandial, meal. Stenosis, narrowing, stricture.